Maybe the main presentation, one of them is the no, it's not that. But I can't go and be writing those matrices on the wall. I can't do that. I just tell story. If it's Bima presentation too, this one is not pure master. You expect me to come and be writing.
Okay. Okay, so welcome to today's edition of the Epimat series. Today we are going to continue from where we left off from last week. Last week we tackled percentages, and I promised you that we are going to look at how to use percentages in what is known as the business mathematics. So today we are going to look at commission. Sorry for that. Okay. So when we talk about commission, this is how I want to put it. So I define commission as basically the amount you pay to somebody for working for you. So if I want to go and buy a house, but I don't have the time to go around, I tax somebody to look for a house for me, and then I pay the person. Or maybe somebody also wants to rent a house out, but he's not able to look for customers. Somebody can come in and look for people who would want to rent a house, do the business on behalf of that person who wants to rent out the building. And then when the money comes, the owner of the building gives a percentage of it to the person who helped to get it secured. So that amount is what we call the commission given to the person. So one example that I usually use is the people at the filling stations that we see them. These guys are working for some people. So what they do is that at the end of the day, whichever sales they make for the day, that is what the owner will base on to pay them, aside their normal salary, which is just a fixed amount that they give them. So this is what commission is all about. So you will see that when I was doing the introduction, I mentioned percentages. So it means that anytime you are working with commission, the idea of percentages has to be there. From last week, we said that anytime you mention percentage, it only means out of 100. So if I say I gave you 20%, what it simply means is that I gave you 20 out of 100 of whichever money or whatever thing that you gave to me. So that is what we are going to use basically in today's lessons. I'm going to be as brief as possible, and then we are just going to do some examples to see how these things work. So I'm going to begin with a simple example, and then we continue to more difficult ones. So, because commission is an application of percentages, this is how generally it can be calculated or it is calculated. So, if you want to give somebody a commission, that commission should be equal to the amount of percentage you agreed to give the person, let's say percentage X. So some X percent of the money involved that you are going to give. So let's just for now restrict that money involved as the sales the person makes for you. So you are going to give commission, which is a certain amount out of something. And this commission is going to be equal to the X percent, that is the amount you have agreed to give to the person in terms of percentage, multiplied by the total number of sales that the person do on your behalf. Okay. So it means that if any of these guys are given, there should be a way where you can find the others if it is not given, at least one of them. So this can be written as X over 100, which gives us this X percent multiplied by the sales involved. So this is how we calculate commission. So anytime you want to give anybody commission, you should first of all consider how much percent you have agreed to give to the person. And then whichever contract or whichever contract you go with the person, if it is per month, per week, per day, or whatever, you do exactly that. Let's move to the examples by taking the very simple case where we are just calculating for the commission involved. Okay, so in our first example, say that Gifty was given a promise of 5% commission of all bulls sold within a day. So Gifty is going to sell for somebody, and the person promised her that whichever amount she will bring, whichever bulls she will sell within a day, 5% of the money is going to her. Now the question is, if Gifty was able to sell items worth 450 Ghana cedis, so within that day, she was able to sell items up to the amount of 450 Ghana cedis. And the question is, what will be her commission? How much money is Gifty going to get for the day? How much money is Gifty going to get for the day? So from here, we have already established that anytime you want to calculate commission, the commission should always be equal to the percentage agreed multiplied by the money involved. So it means from here, Gifty's commission is going to be equal to, so now we are going to fill in this formula. Now the percentage agreed on was 5%, and we are saying we can write this x percent as x over 100. So here our x here is 5, so we have 5 over 100 multiplied by the sales that she made for the day. And according to the problem we are handling, she sold up to 450 Ghana cedis. So at this point, we go back to a multiplication in fraction problem. So we know that anytime we are doing this, we must first of all reduce the numbers. So I can reduce 100 and 450 by using 10. Then now I have 5 out of 10 multiplied by 45. In the same way, I can reduce these two guys by dividing through with 5. So 5 goes here, and then here 2 times. At this point, what I have is simply 1 times 45, which will be 45 divided by 2. At this point, you have to employ your long division to just do this one. So using the approach of long division, we have 45 here divided by 2. 2 into 4 is 2 times, giving you a 4. When you subtract, you have your 0 here. Then you bring in the next number, which is the 5. 2 into 5 is also 2 times, which should also give you a 4. When you do the deduction, there should be a remainder of 1. Then now, to bring your dots there, you introduce a 0. 2 into 10 should give you a 5. And that should be a 10 here. So it means that Gifty's commission for that day is going to be 22 cedis, 50 pesos. 22 cedis and 50 pesos after she made a total sales of 450 cedis for the man. We take the next example. Okay. And our second problem says that Kwame gets a commission of 20% on bread sold. In 1 week, Kwame's commission was 45 Ghana cedis. How much bread did he sell during the week? So here it means that the agreement that Kwame went with the owner of the bread factory or the bakery was that for every week, out of the money he brings, he's going to get 20% of that. Now we are told that after one particular week, he goes home with 45 Ghana cedis. Now our duty is to find out how much money he brought to the business. How much money he brought to the business. So we are still going to stick to our formula. So sticking to our formula, we have this one. So we want to substitute, check which ones are there and which ones are not there, and then find out. So here, the first one we see is this 20%. So this 20% comes right under this guy. It should be 20 over 100. The next amount we see is this 45, and we are told that this 45 is Kwame's commission in that week. So it means this side should be 45. And then we multiply it by S sales that we are supposed to look for. So let me represent it by S. So now this is what we have, and we are looking for the S, which is equivalent to how much money or how much bread he sold for the week. So at this point, we have to just solve this equation by multiplying through with the denominator. So this gives us 45 multiplied by 100, and it should be equal to 20 multiplied by S, which is 20S. When I multiply these two numbers, I'm supposed to get 4500 at 4,500, and this should be equal to 20S. But it's S we are looking for, so I divide through by 20. So this cancels out, these two guys go off. And then we're just told that so let's do this one in full. So we have 450, and we are dividing it by 2. So here 2, the same thing, 2 here, 4 here, 0. We bring our 5 here, this into that should give us another 2, which is also a 4. Subtracting gives us 1. We add this 0, 2 into 10 is 5. So now we have our S to be equal to 225 Ghana cedis. So you conclude that the total sales made by Kwame for that week is 225 Ghana cedis. 225 Ghana cedis. Take the next problem, question 3, and all these questions are from the BEC past questions. In this third problem, we are told that a housing agent makes a commission of 103,500 Ghana cedis when he sells a house for 690,000. So here we have how much he takes home as his commission, and we have how much sales he is making. What we do not know is the percentage. So that is what we are going to calculate. So the same thing, we are still going to stick to this formula here, and we are going to fill in the individual variables and look for the missing one. So with this one, the commission is 103,000, and it should be equal to a certain X percent, which should be exactly as X over 100 multiplied by 690,000. Okay. So then this is the case at hand. We have to multiply through by the LCM. So this then becomes 103,005. 103,500 here, 00 multiplied by 100, and this should be equal to 690,000x. We are looking for x, so we have to multiply through. So we multiply here 690,000, and we multiply here as well by 690,000. So this goes with that. These two also cancel out. So here we are left with 1035 divided by 69, and that should be equal to x. Okay. So here, let's see which numbers we can use to reduce them. We can take the number 3 and see if it will work. So if I take 3 into 69 should give me 23. Then I go into 1035 and I divide that by 3. 3 into 10 should give me 3, and that should give me a 9. The remainder is 1, then I drop the 3. It goes into 13 4 times, and that should give me a 12. Have a remainder of 1, and then I bring the 15. 3 into that should give me 5. Okay. So here I've been able to reduce this to 345 divided by 23, and that should be equal to the x I'm looking for. So 83 is a prime number, so it should tell you that there is no way you can reduce that. So your only option is to divide this top number by this 23. So by trying it, have 3, 4, 5, and you are dividing that by 23. So it goes into this one, 1, it should give you another 23. When you subtract that, you should have a 1 here and a 1 here, then you have 5. So let's see, 23 multiplied by 5, it should give us a 15. It should be 5 here, remainder 1. This is 10 plus 1 is 11. So 23 into this one should be a 5 here, which should give us 115. 0, 0, 0. So it means that the x we are looking for is equal to 15. So this sales agent goes home with a commission of 15%. Commission of 15%. Okay. Okay, now that we have been able to calculate for problems involving commission, the percentage, and then the sales, we want to introduce one more thing. That's when salary is also added. When salary is added. So we take this problem number 4, saying that a sales agent receives a monthly salary of 500 Ghana cedis and 5% commission on total sales made for the month. Now, if she received a total take home amounting to 750 Ghana cedis, how much sales did she make for that particular month? Okay. This is our new problem. So somebody is supposed to take home with a fixed salary which will not change, and in addition to that, a percentage of how much she makes within a particular month. How much she makes within a particular month. Okay. So here, from whatever has been given, the first thing to do is to find out what part of the salary, which part of the money she is going home with will make up that commission part. Because she has a fixed salary of 500 Ghana cedis, and then she is taking home. So a take home of 750. So it means that there have been some additions. So that addition is what you are going to call her commission. and that should be the difference between these two numbers, which should amount to 250. So now that you have this 250, the problem now changes to just a simple commission problem. So now the new commission is 250, and it is equal to, we were told that they give her 5%. So 5 over 100 multiplied by what we are looking for, the amount of sales she made for that particular month. So let's call that Y. So then we multiply through, that should give us 5000. So 25000. And then this should be equal to this 5 times this Y, it should be 5Y. And it's the Y we are looking for, so we divide through by the 5. Here 5 goes into 25 5 times. So it means that the Y we are looking for is simply 5,000. So it means that for that particular month, that sales agent made a total amount of 5,000 Ghana cedis, 5,000 Ghana cedis for her company or whatever it was. We take our last problem. So a man receives an amount of 1,000 Ghana cedis as a sales agent, and this is made up of a fixed salary of 700 Ghana cedis and a commission made on sales. If the total sales made for the month was 10,000 Ghana cedis, what is his percentage commission? What is his percentage commission? So here, the man has a fixed salary of 700, and then whatever amount he will raise for the month, a certain percent of it is added to his salary. And we are saying that in this particular month, he takes home an amount of 10,000 Ghana cedis, which means that it is made up of a certain percentage which is calculated from the sales that he made for the month. So here we have to find out that commission first and then work it out from there. So once again, the total amount here is equal to 1,000, and then his salary is equal to 700. So deducting gives us the commission, and that is equal to 300 Ghana cedis. Now, this 300 cedis, which is the commission from here, 300 cedis, is equal to the percentage we are looking for. So let me call that T percent, multiplied by the total number of sales made for the month, and we are told that one is 10,000. So this T percent can also be written as T over 100. So then we multiply through by this 100, we get 300, and then those two zeros, and that should be equal to 10,000 here multiplied by the T. Divide through by everything here except for the T. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so this cancel out with this, and that. So it means that the T is equal to 3. So it means that the percentage is simply 3%. So he receives an additional 3% of whatever amount he makes from the sales for the month. So this will bring us to the end of today's lessons. Next week, we will look at another application of percentages, and then we take it off from there. So see you next week. Bye.